everybody. Can
Good
you
morning,
hear
Ruthie
us?
Rocks.
I'm in a different place today, so I hope everybody can hear me. If you can't, let's see. Can you hear me? Everybody. Yes, I can hear myself. So I think that's good. So Jimmy, it's Thursday. We made it past the hump day.
Well, we have a lot of inspiration, and I appreciate
Yes,
you doing these every day.
Well, again, facts over fear, facts to eliminate the fear. And we have an interesting show today because Brian Buffini interviewed Ben Carson, and he also interviewed the gentleman, Mr. Montgomery, who oversees the FHA funding. And Ben Carson had a lot of words of wisdom that we're going to talk about today. Ben Carson went to Yale University, and he was the youngest pediatric physician at his age. And he's the 17th Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And what did he do before that? Do you know?
Yeah, he, just so you know, to put this in context, not only is he a neurosurgeon, but he is Brian Montgomery's boss. So he's the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Brian Montgomery is FHA, which is a part of HUD. So Ben Carson is his boss. And as you said, he's a neurosurgeon, a pediatric neurosurgeon. He works on little kids, and he became really famous at about the age of 33 for separating some conjoined twins. He was made the head of pediatric surgery at Johns Hopkins University at 33 years old. So the guy's resume is extremely impressive. He came from a large family. He went to school. He did so well that academically that they said, let's give this guy some money. Let's get him through school. And as you said, you can't get much better than going to Yale Medical School and being hired by Johns Hopkins. I mean, they have probably 1,000 applicants for every person that they hire. And separate a neurosurgeon is one thing, but separating conjoined twins, it's not just brain surgery, it's surgery. This guy is a brain surgeon.
Yeah, he is. I want to talk a little bit. Let's see. Maybe I don't want to do that. Come on.
Well, I think Buffini had him on because of the integrity that Buffini works with. You know, Buffini's principles are spiritual, family, business, financial, and then personal in his 5 circles. And he says spiritual comes first because your family might let you down, but your faith should not, whatever that faith is. And Ben Carson is very faith-based, and it comes through in all of his communication and all of his messages. It's very clear that he's very faith-based. And I think he even said on the interview, it doesn't matter what your faith is. This is the time to be faithful. This is the time to pay attention to your God, whoever you call that, whatever you call that. And I think that's one of the reasons why not only is he a brilliant guy, not only is he a secretary of HUD, but he's also the integrity of his, of his whole personality. I think that's why Brian Buffini, he had Lawrence Yun on first to give facts over fear. And now he had Ben Carson. And I think Ben Carson's message, which you said you're going to post, is a little bit more spiritual in nature, but the statistics that you quoted me earlier today are impressive.
Yes. So Ben's main message was, this too will pass and this shall go. And he says that, the economic consequence due to the shutdowns are fast spreading, and that social distancing is really something that we all should take very seriously. And he said that if one person is careless, they can infect 3 people, and then those 3 people infect 3 people, and that's how it spreads. Accordingly, he said you should act like you have it, and you'll do the right thing. So those are the gloves and the booties and the masks and the social distancing that we all need to practice right now so that we get through this quickly.
For me, the 2 big ones are the hand sanitizer that you mentioned a couple times. We've talked about the hand sanitizer and the social distancing. Those 2 things. If I'm far enough away from you and you're sanitizing your hands and I'm sanitizing my hands, I think those are the two biggest strategies. And I gave a class yesterday. I had 10 people. We separated out a little bit, but before the class, my one concession to COVID is we passed out hand sanitizer first. That's how we started the meeting.
Yes, that's very good. And I'm sure that you, like we are, we're sanitizing our office every night and every morning. So that we're doing what we can. We're by appointment only. Our doors are really locked to the public. So we're doing our part as well. And we are practicing social distancing. Ben Carson said that we all have to remember that the housing market is the number one mechanism of our economic growth. And back in 2008, when we had the housing crisis, it was because people were buying homes that really could not afford to buy homes. And now our mortgage system is not a house of cards like it was back then. If you remember, anybody who wanted a loan got one, and then they couldn't afford to pay for the home, and then when they couldn't afford to pay for the home, there was no equity, so it caused the foreclosure domino.
Well, they even called it liar's loans because, well, I want to buy a house. Great, you need to make a certain amount of money. Well, how much is that? Oh my God, that's how much I make. And there was no verification in place. We just took people's words for it, and so that was part of the house of cards.
In the past 12 years, Ben Carson and Brian Buffini stated that we have done so much to radically change where we are today in our housing market, which is, again, the number one mechanism of economic growth. And to that point, everybody, February was the record month for home purchases. It was the best month in more than 10 years. And new home sales were up 13.4% year over year. So we have a lot of home buyers out there with the economic stability to buy a home. And, you know, the stock market dropped 30%, and that affected 50% of our population over the past several weeks. Luckily, it's been going up now. That's good, good news. But our home values have not dropped.
And the number of sales, you quoted a number to me this morning before we got live, 2,743 month to date sales closed in our local Las Vegas Association of Realtors. So, and the month is not over. We still have 4 or 5 more days left to report sales. So that's going to be another 400 or 500. We're going to hit over 3,000 sales this month, even with all this craziness.
Yeah, and yesterday we closed 93 homes, and that's 186 transaction sides that agents got paid on. So those statistics are good news.
Well, that was just resales too. You said there was another 26 brand new home sales.
Yes.
So 93 plus 26, we're looking at over, what's that, 119, 120 homes.
And, like Ben Carson said in his interview, he said, this is a blip. And this too will pass. And we will see a continuation of our market as soon as, things start opening again and we get back to normal. And no one should lose their home as a result of this blip. They put in place a 60-day foreclosure moratorium. They put in place a 60-day eviction stop. And he said, don't be afraid to call your mortgage company if you need forbearance. They're prepared. The mortgage companies are prepared for this and prepared to help you if you need help. And one of the things that they do when I say forbearance, if you're not familiar with that term, they will take a mortgage payment or two and they will put it on the back of your mortgage. So you still owe the money and you will still have to pay that money when you sell your home or you pay off your mortgage, but you have 2 months of forbearance. Now, it's not always zero payment. Sometimes they will apportion it depending on the amount of the payment, and it all depends upon your mortgage company. And Ben said, do not be embarrassed to call them. He said in 2008, 50% did not contact their mortgage company for help because they were embarrassed. And please call them and don't be embarrassed. And just think about, Brian said, your neighbor's probably thinking the same thing you are, and so just be smart. Call your mortgage company if you think you're going to have any issues. And we're telling you this so that you can pass this on, to your contacts and clients.
Well, and Ruthie, you said be smart, and be smart means a couple things. If I have a tenant and they don't pay their rent, I might not be able to lock them out, but it doesn't mean I'm forgiving the rent when the evictions go back in. So I'll just use an example. I have one rental house where the lady is on federal, she's on retirement. So her income has not been impacted at all. If she doesn't pay her rent, I might not be able to evict her. But when it comes down to it, I'm not forgiving the rent either. She has a fixed income. She has the money to pay me. I don't know what she's doing with her money, but I know I want my rent because I have a mortgage payment. So I have to get my money.
Yeah.
So if you can pay, you pay. If you cannot pay, legitimately, if she called me and said, look, I didn't get my check, so I'm out of work, I would forgive maybe half the rent. I would work with her, but I'm not forgiving all the rent. And I'm not going to forgive any of the rent if they have a fixed income she's getting paid by the government. She's not missed one beat. So if a tenant says, well, they can't throw me out, that's true. They may not be able to evict you right now, but it doesn't mean you don't owe your rent. If you can pay it, pay it. Otherwise, in a mortgage, they can throw it on the back. In a tenant situation, this is one reason to buy a house. You have a huge advantage. And you talked about the net worth of the renter. What were those numbers, the net worth of renter?
So for home ownership, a home ownership today, and this is a statistic, that a homeowner has a net worth of $200,000. A renter has a net worth of $5,000.
We know that's how most people save their money. They buy a house, it increases in value, and because we're not a nation of savers, we don't save money, and so that figure kind of bears that out, and that's not a big change from historically.
And if you think about the average homeowner in their house anymore from up to 10 years, and if homes appreciate compounded, let's say, what did we say the other day, 10 to 20,000 a year, it doesn't take long to get $200,000 worth of equity in your home if you're a homeowner versus if you're a renter paying someone else's mortgage. And so we really want to get the first-time home buyers on the market here when this little blip passes.
Well, we should be putting them in escrow right now. As you said, things are selling. So if you have a house in the right price range, this is when they should be making an offer. And just if they do lose their job, if they can't get their loan, they'll get their earnest money back. But if they don't lose their job, if they're still working, they should be buying a house. This is the time. This is all about be smart. Right now, be smart.
Be smart, yes. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but the FHA is lessening their guidelines and making it easier to buy condos.
No, that's first I've heard that.
Yeah, and well, it isn't in place yet, but they're working on it. That's what Montgomery said. So that's a good thing going forward.
Now, was that on the Buffini podcast also? Or
Yes.
Okay.
And that was on the Buffini podcast also that I'm going to post, on Agent Formula's website, on all of the members of our Agent Formula. That'll be posted on their blog. As promised yesterday, we did post it on everybody's website, and we emailed it to everybody's contacts that are in their contact base. Let's see, Karen's chiming in here. Hi, Karen.
Good to have you with us, Karen.
Yeah, good to have you with us. So anyway, we are going to post this Buffini with Ben Carson. We're going to post that on my personal page. We're going to post it on the Agent Formula Facebook page. We're going to post it on the agentformula.com website in the blog section. And if you're a member of Agent Formula with a website, it will be posted today on your blog section under Las Vegas Market Watch, and it will also be sent out to your contacts. So the main message that I'm saying right now is please pass this information on so that we can use our facts to overcome people's fears and get through this blip, as Ben Carson calls it. Do you have any other comments?
I do. I have like three. Number one, Karen's comment about down payment assistance programs. Some of them have frozen. My office actually had a transaction canceled because the down payment assistance. There's over 2,000 down payment assistance programs out there right now. The ones that are funded by the state are more at risk. So if you have an escrow where there's a down payment assistance, check into it. You may not be able to close right now. There are other down payment assistance programs out there. Maybe your buyer qualifies for something else. But we've talked about Be Smart. We've talked about Buffini. We have the Pathways to Mastery. It was supposed to start April 3rd. We've made one concession to the coronavirus. We are going to start at April 17th, two Fridays later. So if you don't order your materials, you won't be ready to start the class. So sign up, get your materials, be ready to go. And I'm going to make one more anecdotal evidence thing. Eric Brock from Watchdog Inspections came into my office yesterday. And I said, what are you finding out there? And he says, well, I visited 5 offices on Monday. All 5 were open for business. I visited 5 on Tuesday. A couple of their buildings were locked down, but as soon as they saw me, they let me in. So some of the businesses have decided, I'm going to lock down the building. It doesn't mean don't come to work. That's not what it means. It means we're not letting people wander through the place. So, you know, the idea is social distancing, you know, hands, booties, all that, gloves, all that stuff. Be smart, but don't stop working. If you stop working, your income stops. Real estate, stop working, your income. This is not the time to stop working. He visited 5 offs on Monday, 5 on Tuesday, and 4 on Wednesday. And he's out bringing his little dog biscuits things that he does. But he's seeing people, he's talking to people, he's making himself very visible. Smart guy.
And this is such a great time to give value to people. And I mentioned that Buffini and his group, 4,000 of them before they had to stay in their homes, 4,000 realtors that he coaches gave hand sanitizers and necessary food items and things to their client bases. And you know, there's all types of things that we can do. We can send personal notes. We can double down right now. You know, John's starting to call his people that he sold houses to, you know, 6-7 years ago, because they're only getting something from him once a month. And so he's going to now reach out and call them, leave them a voice message. I'm going to try to get him to direct message, but we'll see how that works.
Well, you mentioned yesterday, and then you made a comment today. We are an essential service. We're such a part of the economy. We are in real estate offices. We're specifically named in the governor's statement. Yeah. Real estate offices are an essential service. It doesn't mean you can't work from home. I mean, our staff at my company, they're working from home. They're not going into the office, but they're still working. And if you're an agent there and you're meeting a client, you can come in the office, do your printouts, work, groups of less than 10, be smart. But if you're working from home, actually work from home.
Yes. And I don't think I mentioned that Ben Carson did say that they work at the ugliest building, but they have the best people that work there. I guess he's referring to the Pentagon. And one of the things that Ben said, and these are words of encouragement, regardless of, you know, your belief system, but he said that in the Pledge of Allegiance, it says we are one nation under God. And in the national anthem, it says that we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. And you cannot be free unless you're brave. And he said, in God we trust. That's on every coin and every bill in our pockets. And we need to be loving to our fellow man. We need to be kind. We need to be caring. And we need to be valuable to those around us. And if we do not do these things, if we do these things, we cannot be conquered by any issue. So send this message to your clients, to your prospects, to your friends, and to your family. And again, we're going to post this interview all over the place that Brian had with Ben Carson so that you can pass it on. Knowledge is so key, and you're giving value to all your clients, all your friends, all your relatives, your fellow associates. I can't say enough about how good what Brian Buffini is doing.
Well, good. Thanks. I appreciate it, Ruthie.
All righty. And we'll be back tomorrow with more information. We hope you're enjoying us, staying connected to you. We really thank Karen for reaching out to us and staying connected to us. Hopefully everybody's out there working. And I'm going to put on the screen here where you can go if you want the blog information or if you want to sign up for the Buffini class, which is now April 17th. All right, everybody, go out there, have a great day. Stay kind.
Go to work.
Go to work.